welcome to Lifestyle. This is Jennifer K.
And I'm Saeed Muhammad.
On Glasshouse Radio, HURN. So on today's show, we will discuss the changing seasons and the reasons for them, self-realization, and the moment you decided to be a different person. We're going to compare God and sin to human love and relationships.
For our topic of the day, we'll discuss adultery, whether or not it's ever justifiable. And to close out, we'll discuss humility and its enduring presence. But last but not least, we'll talk about our spiritual awakenings and self-realizations.
Okay, so I actually think it's so perfect that we decided to start off with the weather because 2 days ago, it dropped from maybe 70 degrees to 30 degrees.
And it's back up today. It's a little bit warmer this morning.
I got so sick. I'm just not used to this at all. I'm from Texas. This is the craziest thing. Every year, I feel like it's the craziest thing in the world to be happening.
Like, let me tell y'all. So I saw Jen the other day on campus. She's walking. It's freezing cold. Mind you, I'm from Cleveland, so I was prepared. Hat, gloves, layers, all the works. I see her. She's got a nice little cute pea coat on, no hat, ankles out. You know what I mean?
I don't know how to do it. I feel like, okay, so also, so the weather's changing from summer, which I love, to winter, which is it was a little dreadful, but last winter I went through a very wonderful experience, I feel like. Winters are so sad and cold, but also I think that the world just gets a little quieter, and you're able to hear your thoughts, and I think that it's a time of self-realization and self-evaluation. So it's like I hate the weather changing to such a terrible temperature, but I feel like I love the seasons that are beginning to change in my life.
So when you talk about like a season in your life, like define that. Like what defines a season? Like is it only defined by the weather changing? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. What's a good season? What's a bad season?
Yeah. Because what is a season just in general, whether it's good or bad?
I think for sure a good season is a time in your life where you don't feel like you're struggling with something, you know what I mean? Like you don't feel like you're trapped. You don't feel like you're being bound by anything. You're happy. That's a good season, Okay. I would compare that to summer, which is why I think it's interesting that we're going into a winter season, which I would compare to maybe a bad season in your life, which is when things are harder. You are struggling with somebody, and you're constantly battling with something in your head. What do you feel like seasons are?
I'm thinking just periods of life. You know what I mean? Like whether they're high or low, like. Summer, I guess, is good and winter is bad, but overall, just a season in general is just a period of life for growing. You know what I mean? And sometimes, if it is a winter season, then yeah, that is a time that's hard. And just like winter, things die off. You know what I'm saying? You probably have these characteristics, these friends, these lifestyle, things that you do that will probably die off, and then you move into that spring season that's growing. So I just feel like they're periods.
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by periods. So
periods.
You feel like...
So an amount of time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if we're talking about your life as a whole on a spectrum, you know what I'm saying? Seasons are different sections of your life.
So okay, in the way that seasons, weather-wise, is 4 months for this season, 4 months for that. You feel like our lives are that way. Do you have, let's say, a set 4 months of a good season, and then you have a set 4 months of a bad season? Is it like that? Is it
I don't think that it's a set 4 months, but I do think that the cycle does stay the same. So like the season, like spring always comes after winter. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so like
right.
that spring type of season, that growing, that changing, you know what I'm saying? That always is going to come after your season of despair. And after that growing and changing, I feel like that happy season always comes next. So I feel like the order stays the same, but the length of time, no, it doesn't matter. It's not 4 months.
Okay.
Because I've had bad seasons that I feel like lasted for years. Can I say years? You know what I'm saying? Like years. You know what I mean? Like years.
For sure.
You go through periods in time. I mean, granted, we're only 21, but I still think
that we've been through so much of life. I feel like we've gone through life. But no, I feel like, okay, do you think that because the seasons periods are shorter, like, okay, if you were to have a, what did you say the other day? You have like a short summer season, and you feel like you're...
I feel like my winter seasons are always very long, and my summer seasons, while they're great and I appreciate them, they're always very short. You know, my good times in life where I feel like everything is going well, everything is on point, I'm not really complaining about anything. I feel like those seasons are very short.
I mean that's also could be a, what's it called?
Outlook.
When things, when you're happy, having a good time, it flies by. Yeah. And when you're having a terrible time, it's just dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging.
But I mean, I feel like, even though I do feel like the winter season is always longer, there's a part of me that understands that there is a reason for these seasons. And so it's almost like, it's okay. You know, you know what I'm saying? It's okay that you went through that for that period of time because there was a reason for that. You come out.
Are you feeling like this during your winter season? During your are you feeling like this after? Is this like in hindsight you look back at it and it's like, oh, that was good for me because now I'm strong in this way, or now I've gained this. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm wise and you know.
I think it just depends on where I'm at mentally going into my winter season. So if I'm at a point, and let's say I had a summer season and things were going so, like this summer, we would take this summer for example. So I went back home to Cleveland. At first I didn't think I'd enjoy it. You know, we live in D.C., we live a fast life here. In Cleveland, Ohio is obviously a lot slower. So I went back home to Cleveland and I worked a 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I worked 70 hours a week. And it was really a simple sort of lifestyle, but I had peace there. You know what I'm saying? And I was at so much peace within myself, just in terms of like having an understanding of like why you go through certain things, why you sometimes have to be removed from the things you love. Like I love Howard, I love being around the culture, the environment, my friends here, but to just have to be removed from them. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you have to have those things taken away from you. And it was in that time of peace that I realized things are too peaceful. When I go back, something crazy will happen. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna definitely be a struggle. That is how I felt. You know what I'm saying? That was my outlook during my summer season. So coming into this.
So wait a minute. The time that you were in Cleveland, was that your summer season?
That was my summer season. It was literally summer, and it was also my summer season. Yes, it was a great time for me. But I'm saying it was so good that I knew what my next season was going to look like. It was going to be very hard for me.
Because that's the next season that comes up.
That is the next season that comes up. And so here it is, now that I'm going through a little bit of a rougher time in a winter season, while my outlook should be, I'm appreciative, Lord, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, because I was just at a moment of so much peace, it's hard to have that taken away. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Whereas opposed to, let's just say I was going through something really tough, like maybe struggling in school, and then I come out of that season. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be so like in a whiff about it. You know?
I feel like, I think when I was younger, I definitely thought that when things bad were happening in my life, that I was being punished. And that I had done something wrong. And that God, I'm a Christian, everybody. Both Saeed and I are Christians. And so I felt like God was mad at me. And that was proof that I was being punished because God is a God of justice. And I was being, you know what I mean, righting my wrongs. But I think that the older that I get and the more wisdom that I'm acquiring, I think that when I'm going into a bad season, that it's a sign that God is thinking that I'm ready for greater. You know what I mean? Because I think that in moments of good seasons or summer seasons and the ones where you feel like life is peaceful and blissful and amazing, you're not growing during that season. You know what I mean? You're basking in your growth. I think that I think you're more so just basking in the growth that God has shown you. You know, I do believe that. I think that when I've gone through something terrible and when I come out, I have the lessons that I was supposed to receive from it. Right? And so now that I'm greater, or I'm, you know what I mean, a higher version of myself, I'm able to bask in these, you know, my new wisdom and my new strength, and you know what I mean, my discernment being stronger. I feel like I'm able to live and have joy in that for a little bit, and that's the season. And then next, when I'm going through another tumultuous time, I feel like that's God being like, all right, you had fun on that little level I gave you, but you ready to grow some more. You know, I have some more for you. You ready for the next step?
So then, what is your outlook looking like during a winter season? Then are you that positive during your winter season? Like, oh, this is terrible, y'all, but you know what?
Okay,
I'm ecstatic about it.
Bye. I'm definitely not saying that I'm perfect. You know what I mean? I struggle for sure. Everybody's struggling, and I think that I just have a better outlook on it. Or maybe before it would be, oh, I'm spending months feeling sorry for myself and in self-pity and so sad that something is happening to me. And now maybe that feeling lasts a day. And then the next day I'm understanding what's happening in my life again. And I'm back to being aware of that things are happening for me and not happening to me. Do you know what I mean?
So, okay. Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. I see right here you have trail of evidence is growth. When you're growing out of where you are, you're letting God take you somewhere greater.
Yes.
That's exactly.
For sure. And I just feel like I've recently experienced something where I thought that I was losing myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt like I was losing the things that God had placed in my heart. You know, and I felt like I was becoming another person. And then.
So hold on, when you say things that God had placed in your heart, are you talking about your inherent values, or you're talking about things that you've learned over time through these seasons?
Not my inherent values, my inherent characteristics.
Okay.
You know, I felt like certain things that, you know, certain qualities about me that you'd be like, oh yeah, that's like Jen, that's Jen. I felt like I had experienced something that was taking that away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Which was making me very scared. But the more that I started to ground myself and spend time by myself, you know, and give myself the opportunity to hear myself, my own thoughts, and God speaking to me, I'm realizing that I'm just becoming another person. I mean, I'm just becoming a stronger version of myself.
So, I mean, you're talking about when God is moving within you. You know what I mean? I read a post the other day, and I sort of feel a little bit on the fence about the comment because you'll just sort of feel some way once I read it. It says, keep your head up. God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. And I agree, and I think that that's admirable, but at the same point in time, I've gone through some tough battles, and I'm like, dang, God, like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What are you ultimately preparing me for that I have to go through this and that?
Yeah. With your, you know what I mean, with your trials and the things that you're struggling with, you're going to always come out stronger. If you let them make you stronger, of course, you know?
All right, so last minute advice for when you're dealing with a bad season, you're changing seasons, whatever it is.
I think that it's all about your mindset. It's all about the way that you're looking at life. And one thing that I remind myself of every day is that nothing is happening to me. I'm not being attacked, you know. Everything is happening for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes with, you know, the way that my mind just works spiritually. I don't feel like I'm being attacked in anything that happens in my life. Everything is working for, you know, my greater good.
And then I think it's also important that when you are in, like, let's say a bad season, you find some of those small things that give you just the least amount of joy, whether it be like exercise, a movie, a song, a hobby, whatever it is, just that little thing that can remind you of a different situation. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And also it's important that you self-reflect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and all the time I always look back at points where I was maybe a year ago and I'm like, wow, let me look at my growth, let me evaluate my growth in an entire year. Let me evaluate my growth in 6 months. It's if you don't constantly go back and see where you were and where you are and where you then how can you plan on where you want to go and the person that you want to be and, you know, stuff like that.
All right, guys, stay tuned. Coming up next, we have The Moment You Decided to Be a Different Person. My name is Saeed Muhammad.
And this is Jennifer K on Lifestyle on Glasshouse Radio, HURN.